Night arrives quickly in the Amazon. The dense canopy absorbs the last light of evening until the forest floor slips into a layered darkness filled with soft movement and distant calls. Under these conditions, the rainforest reveals a different community of animals, many of which spend the day hidden in burrows, bark cavities, or leaf litter. Among the most noticeable of these nocturnal hunters is a creature that triggers immediate reactions in almost any human observer. The camera pans slowly across damp leaves until it settles on a large spider moving deliberately across the ground. Its legs stretch wide and deliberate, each step controlled and precise. The body is thick and heavy, covered in dense hairs that catch the faint beam of moonlight filtering through the canopy. The animal pauses, sensing vibration through the ground, and the outline becomes unmistakable. A tarantula, one of the largest spiders in the Amazon basin. For many people, the sight of a tarantula immediately triggers fear. Popular imagination often paints these spiders as aggressive monsters waiting to attack anything that crosses their path. Yet, the reality of tarantula behavior is far more complex and, in some ways, more interesting than the myths. Tarantulas are predators, but they are also cautious animals that prefer avoiding confrontation whenever possible. Their large size and dramatic appearance function as part of a defensive strategy rather than a declaration of aggression. To understand why these spiders belong in a discussion about painful encounters in the Amazon, it is necessary to look beyond the surface intimidation and examine the layered defenses that evolution has built into their bodies. The tarantulas of the Amazon belong primarily to the family Theraposidae, a group of spiders distributed across tropical and subtropical regions of the world. Many species in this region live close to the forest floor, occupying burrows beneath roots, hollow logs, or spaces hidden within the thick layer of decomposing leaves that carpets the rainforest. From these shelters they emerge at night to hunt. Their prey consists mostly of insects, but larger species may occasionally capture small vertebrates such as frogs, lizards, or even tiny mammals if the opportunity arises. Unlike spiders that rely on webs to capture prey, tarantulas hunt through stealth and sudden speed. They wait patiently until an insect wanders within range, then lunge forward with surprising power, delivering a bite that injects venom to immobilize the prey. Despite their role as predators, tarantulas occupy a vulnerable position within the rainforest food web. Many animals consider them prey. Birds, snakes, coatis, and specialized wasps, known as tarantula hawks, all hunt these spiders when the opportunity presents itself. Because of this constant threat, tarantulas have evolved a series of defenses designed to discourage attackers before a fight becomes necessary. The first layer of that defense is simply their appearance. A large, hairy spider standing with its legs raised can look dramatically larger and more intimidating than it actually is. For many predators, that visual signal is enough to prompt hesitation. In the rainforest, hesitation can mean survival. If visual intimidation fails, the tarantula escalates its defensive display. Many species adopt a posture where the front legs lift off the ground and the body tilts upward. This stance exposes the spider's fangs and creates a larger silhouette that appears more threatening. At the same time, the spider may produce faint vibrations by rubbing certain body parts together, creating a soft, rasping sound that signals agitation. These displays communicate a simple message. Continuing the approach will not be comfortable. But the most fascinating defense of many New World tarantulas lies in a unique adaptation found on the abdomen. These spiders possess specialized hairs known as urticating setae, structures so fine that they resemble dust until seen under magnification. Each hair is barbed and easily detached from the spider's body. When threatened, the tarantula uses its hind legs to flick these hairs into the air toward whatever is disturbing it. The motion happens rapidly, often appearing as a brief brushing movement across the abdomen. Once released, the hairs drift toward the attacker and lodge in skin, fur, or mucous membranes. On human skin, the effect can be intensely irritating. The barbed structure allows the hairs to embed themselves into tissue, triggering inflammation and itching that may last for hours or even days, depending on the species involved. If the hairs reach sensitive areas such as the eyes, the reaction can become far more severe, causing intense burning sensations and swelling. In the context of the rainforest, this defense is remarkably effective. A predator that receives a face full of microscopic barbs quickly learns that the spider is not worth the trouble. This layered defense system reveals something important about how large invertebrates survive in ecosystems filled with predators. Rather than relying on a single weapon, tarantulas use a sequence of escalating signals. First comes visual intimidation. If the threat persists, defensive hairs create discomfort at a distance. Only when those measures fail does the spider resort to biting. The bite itself is rarely the spider's preferred option, because biting a much larger animal carries risks. However, when cornered or handled carelessly, tarantulas can deliver a defensive bite using fangs capable of piercing skin. The venom is generally not considered medically dangerous to healthy humans, but the puncture itself can be painful and accompanied by localized swelling. Encounters between humans and tarantulas in the Amazon often occur not during deliberate searches for spiders, but through simple proximity. The rainforest floor is full of hiding places where these animals spend the day. A hand placed beneath a fallen log, a foot stepping near a burrow entrance, or a curious observer leaning in too closely to photograph the spider may unknowingly enter the animal's defensive perimeter. The tarantula does not need to pursue anyone for a problem to occur. The moment someone moves too close, the spider reacts instinctively according to its defensive sequence. Interestingly, tarantulas also play a significant ecological role as regulators of insect populations within the rainforest. By feeding on large numbers of insects and other arthropods, they help maintain balance in ecosystems where rapid reproduction could otherwise overwhelm plant life or other organisms. Their presence demonstrates how predators exist at every scale within the Amazon, from jaguars stalking riverbanks to spiders hunting quietly among the leaves. Each contributes to the complex network of relationships that sustain the rainforest. Some of the most remarkable interactions involving tarantulas occur with animals that have evolved specifically to hunt them. Tarantula hawk wasps, for example, are among the few predators capable of overcoming these formidable spiders. The wasp delivers a precisely targeted sting that paralyzes the tarantula without killing it. The immobilized spider then becomes a living nursery for the wasp's developing larvae. Encounters like this illustrate the relentless arms race that shapes rainforest evolution. Even creatures equipped with venom, fangs, and defensive hairs can become victims of more specialized predators. At the same time, tarantulas themselves demonstrate unexpected forms of coexistence with other animals. In certain parts of the Amazon, small frogs have been observed sharing burrows with tarantulas. These frogs benefit from the spider's protection against predators, while the spider appears to tolerate the amphibian's presence because it consumes ants and other insects that might otherwise threaten the spider's eggs. The relationship is not fully understood, but it suggests that even large predatory spiders participate in subtle ecological partnerships that extend beyond simple predator-prey dynamics. Returning to the spider on the forest floor, the animal begins to move again, navigating carefully through leaf litter as it searches for prey. Its body remains low to the ground, each leg testing the surface before committing weight to the next step. The spider's world is built from vibration and touch rather than sight. Sensitive hairs covering its legs detect the slightest movements in the environment, allowing it to interpret the forest floor like a living map of signals. A struggling insect nearby sends faint tremors through the leaves, and the tarantula responds instantly, lunging forward with surprising speed to seize the prey. From a distance, the event appears almost effortless. The spider captures its meal and settles once again into stillness. Nothing about the moment suggests danger or aggression. Yet the same body that quietly feeds on insects carries the tools necessary to defend itself against animals many times its size. The hairs, the posture, and the fangs exist not for drama, but for survival in a landscape where nearly everything is either predator or prey. The lesson embedded in this encounter is subtle but unmistakable. Fear of tarantulas often comes from exaggerated stories about monstrous spiders waiting to attack. In reality, the risk arises not from deliberate aggression, but from proximity and misunderstanding. These animals defend themselves when forced into contact, and their defenses are designed to make that contact unpleasant enough to discourage further interaction. As the camera slowly pulls back, the tarantula disappears once again into the mosaic of leaves and roots that make up the forest floor. Its presence becomes just another quiet detail within the immense biological tapestry of the Amazon. The spider does not chase, hunt humans, or patrol the forest with hostile intent. It simply exists within its territory, equipped with a set of defenses that remind anyone moving through the rainforest of an important rule. In the Amazon, touching the wrong thing is rarely wise. Sometimes even leaning in too close can be enough to trigger a chain of defenses built through millions of years of evolutionary pressure. The tarantula does not need to be a monster to teach that lesson. It only needs to be exactly what it is, a patient predator whose body carries multiple ways to make a careless encounter deeply uncomfortable. The rainforest rarely introduces its dangers with fanfare. Most of the time, it hides them in plain sight, disguised in the shapes and textures the human brain has learned to trust. A branch looks like a branch, a leaf looks like a leaf, and a caterpillar, soft, slow, and covered in fuzz, looks like the most harmless creature in the forest. That assumption is precisely what makes the opening moments of this encounter so deceptive. The camera glides along the bark of a low Amazonian tree trunk, its surface dark with humidity and layered in moss, fungi, and tiny epiphytes that thrive in the warm, wet air. At first, nothing seems unusual. Then the movement resolves into shape. A cluster of caterpillars rests against the bark, each one no longer than a human finger. Their bodies are thick with hair-like filaments that catch the light like soft velvet, giving them the appearance of something fragile and defenseless. In most environments, that softness would signal vulnerability. In the Amazon, it can mean exactly the opposite. Venomous caterpillars belong to a broad group of moth larvae that have evolved a defense system far more sophisticated than their appearance suggests. Many species across tropical South America carry specialized defensive hairs called urticating setae. To the naked eye, these structures resemble harmless fuzz, but under magnification, they reveal a forest of microscopic needles, each one connected to tiny venom glands within the skin of the larva. When touched, the hairs break away and embed themselves into the skin of the animal that made contact. The effect can be immediate. Within seconds, the victim may feel a burning sensation spreading across the contact point, followed by swelling, redness, and intense irritation. In some species, the toxins can travel further into the body, triggering nausea, headaches, or systemic reactions that reveal how chemically complex these seemingly simple larvae really are. What appears to be a passive organism resting on bark is actually a highly specialized chemical defense platform, evolved through millions of years of ecological pressure. The Amazon rainforest is an environment where nearly every organism is under constant threat of being eaten. Birds scan the canopy for movement. Lizards patrol trunks and branches for slow-moving prey. Ants, spiders, and predatory insects hunt relentlessly across leaves and stems. A soft-bodied caterpillar, packed with nutrients and unable to outrun any of these predators, would normally stand little chance of survival. Evolution solved that problem not by giving these larvae speed or strength, but by transforming their skin into a deterrent. Venomous hairs serve as both weapon and warning. When a bird attempts to swallow one of these caterpillars, the spines can lodge in the sensitive tissues of the mouth and throat, delivering toxins that make the experience painful enough to remember. Over time, predators learn to associate certain textures, colors, or body shapes with unpleasant consequences. In ecological terms, the caterpillar becomes a lesson encoded into the behavior of the entire food web. Some species push this strategy even further through visual signaling. While many caterpillars rely on camouflage, blending into bark or leaves so effectively they become nearly invisible, venomous varieties often combine concealment with subtle warnings. Bright stripes, unusual patterns, or dense clusters of hairs may function as a biological signal that says, in effect, do not touch. This strategy is known as aposematism, a form of warning coloration seen across many toxic organisms in nature. Poison dart frogs, wasps, and certain snakes all rely on the same evolutionary logic. By advertising their defenses openly, they reduce the likelihood that a predator will attack in the first place. For caterpillars that cannot escape danger quickly, preventing an attack entirely is far safer than surviving one. Yet for humans moving through the rainforest, these signals are easy to miss. The danger posed by venomous caterpillars rarely comes from deliberate interaction. Instead, it emerges through the ordinary actions of exploration. A hand placed casually against a tree for balance. A forearm brushing past a low branch. A backpack sliding across foliage while navigating a narrow path. Each of these small movements can bring skin into contact with a cluster of larvae resting quietly on bark or leaves. Unlike snakes or large predators, the caterpillars do not need to strike or chase. The encounter happens because the human body moves into their defensive space. Clusters make that encounter even more potent. Many venomous caterpillar species gather in groups during their larval stage, forming tight aggregations along trunks or branches. From a distance, these clusters may resemble patches of moss or lichen, natural textures so common in the rainforest that the eye quickly filters them out as background detail. But within these clusters, hundreds of venomous hairs may be present at once. A single accidental touch can expose the skin to dozens or even hundreds of microscopic spines simultaneously, amplifying the intensity of the reaction. The result is not a single sting, but a spreading wave of irritation that reflects the collective defense of the entire group. Among the most notorious examples in the Amazon basin are caterpillars belonging to the genus Lonomia, sometimes called assassin caterpillars. Their appearance remains deceptively modest. Earthy greens and browns that blend perfectly with moss-covered bark. Yet their venom is among the most medically significant of any caterpillar in the world. Unlike the primarily irritating toxins of many other species, Lonomia venom contains compounds that interfere with blood clotting, potentially leading to severe hemorrhaging in untreated cases. Encounters are rare, but when they occur, they illustrate just how far chemical defense can evolve in an organism that otherwise appears defenseless. The caterpillar does not need speed, jaws, or venomous fangs. Its entire body functions as the delivery system. From an evolutionary perspective, these defenses represent a trade-off shaped by the rainforest itself. Soft-bodied larvae cannot afford constant movement because motion attracts predators. Remaining still reduces visibility but increases vulnerability to animals that hunt by touch or by chance encounter. Venomous hairs solve both problems simultaneously. By allowing the caterpillar to remain stationary while still discouraging contact, the larva conserves energy and reduces exposure to detection. The defense works precisely because it does not require action. The predator makes the first move, and the consequences arrive instantly. Predators that live within the rainforest have adapted to this reality as well. Certain birds, for example, have developed techniques to remove or neutralize the irritating hairs before consuming the caterpillar beneath them. Some species rub the larvae against branches to scrape away the spines, while others target specific body segments that contain fewer defensive structures. Insects such as parasitic wasps exploit the caterpillars from within, laying eggs that hatch inside the host and consume it gradually from the inside out. These interactions reveal that even a well-defended organism remains part of a complex ecological arms race, where each adaptation invites a counter-adaptation somewhere else in the food web. For humans observing this system, the lesson is subtle but powerful. Danger in the rainforest does not always announce itself with movement or noise. Sometimes it waits quietly on the bark of a tree, disguised as softness. The instinct to trust familiar shapes can become a liability in environments where evolutionary pressures have transformed harmless appearances into defensive illusions. A fuzzy caterpillar may look like something designed to be touched, but its skin tells a very different story. As the camera pulls back, the cluster of caterpillars remains exactly where it was at the beginning of the scene, unmoving, silent, and almost indistinguishable from the bark behind it. Nothing about the moment feels dramatic, yet the biology unfolding in that small patch of forest reveals one of the rainforest's most important truths. In ecosystems shaped by relentless predation, survival does not always belong to the fastest or strongest organisms. Sometimes it belongs to the ones that turn their own vulnerability into a weapon. In the Amazon, even softness can carry venom, and the difference between harmless and painful may be nothing more than the distance between your hand and a tree trunk. In the Amazon rainforest, color often functions as a language long before sound or movement enter the scene. The forest is saturated with shades of green so dense that anything breaking that pallet immediately demands attention. Among the leaf litter and tangled roots of the understory, a flicker of color appears like a misplaced fragment of the canopy itself. A small creature, no larger than a coin, glowing with reds, yellows, blues, or deep obsidian black. The animal pauses on the surface of a wet leaf, its skin reflecting the filtered light that slips through the towering canopy far above. For a moment, the frog appears almost decorative, as if the rainforest itself had decided to experiment with color in miniature. But the brightness is not decoration. It is a warning broadcast across the evolutionary network of the jungle. Poison dart frogs represent one of the clearest examples of how the Amazon advertises danger through beauty. These small amphibians belong primarily to the family Dendrobatidae, a group that has evolved a remarkable strategy for survival in one of the most predator-rich environments on Earth. Their bodies contain powerful alkaloid toxins embedded within the skin itself, chemicals capable of interfering with nerve function in animals that attempt to eat them. Unlike many defensive systems that rely on stings, fangs, or rapid movement, the poison dart frog's defense is passive but persistent. The toxin sits on the skin's surface, ready to deliver its biochemical message to any predator reckless enough to test it. The rainforest is full of animals that must hide to survive. Camouflage dominates the strategies of insects, reptiles, and countless amphibians that rely on blending into bark or foliage. Poison dart frogs represent the opposite approach. Instead of disappearing into the environment, they stand out dramatically against it. Their brilliant colors, electric blues, fiery reds, vivid yellows, function as an evolutionary signal known as aposematic coloration. In biological terms, aposematism is the art of advertising toxicity. Rather than forcing predators to discover the frog's defenses through repeated attacks, the frog announces them visually. Bright colors say something simple and unmistakable. Attacking this animal will be a mistake. Predators in the rainforest learn that lesson quickly. Birds, snakes, and small mammals rely heavily on experience when choosing prey, and the consequences of sampling a toxic frog can be memorable. A bird that attempts to swallow a poison dart frog may encounter intense bitterness, neurological disruption, or illness, depending on the species and toxin involved. Even a partial exposure can be enough to create a powerful association between bright color patterns and unpleasant consequences. Over time, predators begin avoiding animals that display similar color combinations, transforming the frog's appearance into a shared signal understood across multiple species. The toxins themselves originate from a fascinating ecological pathway that reveals how tightly connected rainforest food webs truly are. Poison dart frogs do not manufacture most of their alkaloid toxins internally. Instead, they obtain them from their diet, particularly from tiny arthropods such as ants, mites, and beetles that contain chemical defenses of their own. As the frog consumes these insects, specialized metabolic processes allow it to sequester the alkaloids and concentrate them within glands in the skin. In essence, the frog becomes a living reservoir of chemical compounds borrowed from its prey. This dietary pipeline means that the potency of a frog's toxin can depend heavily on the specific insects available within its habitat. The relationship between frog and insect highlights an intricate ecological chain. The insects produce defensive chemicals to deter their own predators. The frog consumes the insects and stores those same chemicals for its own protection. When a bird or snake attempts to eat the frog, the accumulated toxins deliver the warning. What appears to be a simple amphibian perched on a leaf is actually the endpoint of a biochemical relay moving through multiple levels of the rainforest ecosystem. Each organism contributes something to the chain, and the result is a defense system that turns the frog's entire skin into a chemical shield. Despite the dramatic reputation of poison dart frogs, encounters with humans reveal a more nuanced reality. In many species, casual contact with intact human skin does not immediately produce the severe symptoms often imagined by popular media. Human skin acts as a relatively effective barrier against many of the alkaloids present on the frog's surface. However, the toxins can become dangerous when they enter the body through cuts, mucous membranes, or careless handling that transfers the chemicals to sensitive tissues such as the eyes or mouth. This distinction is important because it reflects the evolutionary purpose of the toxins. They are designed to deter predators that ingest the frog, not necessarily to attack large animals through casual touch. Still, the biological potential of these toxins remains extraordinary. Among the most potent known is batrachotoxin, a compound found in certain species such as the golden poison frog. This molecule interferes with sodium channels in nerve cells, preventing them from shutting down after activation. The result is continuous nerve firing, a disruption that can lead to paralysis or cardiac arrest in animals exposed to sufficient doses. The quantity present in a single frog can be enough to deter or kill multiple predators, which explains why indigenous communities in parts of South America historically used the secretions to coat hunting darts, giving rise to the name dart frog. The frogs themselves do not produce the darts, of course, but their chemistry proved useful in the human context of survival within the forest. The bright colors that warn predators also play a role in the frog's internal communication. Many species use visual signals to recognize potential mates or rivals within the dense understory, where sound can become distorted by vegetation. Males often occupy small territories on the forest floor, calling with high-pitched trills that echo softly among the leaves. These calls attract females and signal ownership of breeding sites such as moist leaf litter or small water-filled plant cavities. The vibrant colors help individuals identify members of their own species amid the visual complexity of the rainforest, ensuring that reproductive interactions occur between compatible partners. Parental care among poison dart frogs reveals another layer of sophistication rarely associated with animals so small. After eggs hatch, some species transport their tadpoles on their backs to tiny pools of water, trapped inside bromeliads or other plants high in the canopy. The adult frog climbs carefully through vegetation, carrying the wriggling larvae, depositing each one into a miniature aquatic nursery where it will continue developing. In certain species, the mother returns repeatedly to feed the tadpoles with unfertilized eggs, providing a nutritional supply that allows them to grow in isolated pools, free from large aquatic predators. This behavior transforms the rainforest's plant architecture into a network of suspended nurseries, each one carefully maintained by attentive parents. From the perspective of predators, however, the frog's brilliance remains its defining feature. The rainforest contains countless edible amphibians that blend seamlessly into bark and leaf litter, making camouflage a successful strategy for most species. Poison dart frogs break that rule intentionally. By displaying their colors openly, they remove the uncertainty from the predator's decision-making process. An experienced bird does not need to test whether the frog is edible. The colors provide enough information. Avoidance becomes the safer choice, and the frog survives without ever needing to deliver its toxins directly. For humans observing the forest, the lesson carried by these frogs is subtle but powerful. The Amazon is an environment where beauty often serves practical purposes. Bright color can signal ripeness in fruit, attract pollinators to flowers, or warn predators about chemical defenses. The same visual language appears across insects, reptiles, amphibians, and even some mammals, forming a shared system of signals that animals learn to interpret. In this context, the poison dart frog becomes both participant and messenger in the rainforest's complex communication network. As the camera lingers on the frog, it shifts position slightly, its limbs gripping the smooth surface of the leaf with delicate precision. The animal is calm, almost contemplative, entirely unaware of the attention directed toward it. Nothing about its posture suggests aggression or threat. Yet its skin carries chemistry powerful enough to reshape the behavior of predators throughout the forest. The frog does not need to chase or defend itself actively. Its colors speak first, and its toxins reinforce the message if the warning goes ignored. In this way, poison dart frogs reveal a different dimension of danger in the Amazon. Pain and injury do not always arrive through obvious attacks like bites or stings. Sometimes the defense is woven directly into the body surface of an animal that appears gentle and fragile. The rainforest does not hide that fact. It advertises it boldly, painting the message across the skin of creatures small enough to sit comfortably on a human fingertip. The result is one of the most elegant survival strategies in nature. Instead of concealing danger behind fangs or claws, the poison dart frog transforms its entire appearance into a declaration. The colors draw attention precisely because they are meant to be seen. They are not decoration or accident. They are the rainforest saying in the clearest possible language that beauty can also be a warning, and that sometimes the most dangerous thing in the forest is the one that refuses to hide. Morning in the Amazon rainforest rarely begins with silence. Before the sun clears the canopy, the forest floor is already alive with subtle movement. Moisture clings to bark and leaves after the long tropical night, and the air carries a heavy mixture of soil, vegetation, and the faint sweetness of flowering plants hidden somewhere above the understory. A camera glides along the base of a towering tree whose buttress roots stretch outward like the ribs of a giant structure holding the forest upright. At first, the surface appears ordinary, bark layered with lichens, climbing vines, and scattered trails of ants moving between the roots and the trunk. Then the movement sharpens into focus. These ants are larger than most people expect, thick-bodied and deliberate, each one nearly 2 centimeters long. Their bodies gleam dark and polished in the dim green light of the understory, and their long legs lift them above the bark as they patrol with steady purpose. This is not random traffic. It is a defensive perimeter maintained by one of the most formidable insects in the Amazon basin, the bullet ant. The bullet ant, Paraponera clavata, has earned its reputation not through exaggeration, but through the direct experience of those who encounter it. Among the thousands of ant species scattered across tropical ecosystems, very few command such a universal reaction. The sting is widely regarded as one of the most intense forms of pain produced by any insect. Entomologists who study insect venom often describe the sensation using language that seems almost cinematic. Sharp, electric, burning, as if a hot metal object has been driven suddenly into living tissue. These descriptions are not metaphor for drama. They are attempts to translate an overwhelming neurological event into human words. The venom delivered by a bullet ant contains a complex neurotoxin known as ponerotoxin, a molecule evolved to disrupt the communication signals traveling along nerve cells. When the toxin enters the skin, it interferes with sodium channels in the membranes of neurons, forcing pain signals to fire repeatedly and intensely. The body interprets this disruption as a violent injury, even though the physical wound itself may be no more than a tiny puncture. Yet the bullet ant is not a predator seeking confrontation. Its venom exists primarily as a defense mechanism, part of a broader system designed to protect the colony hidden somewhere within the tree's base or in the soil beneath it. Like many tropical ants, bullet ants live in organized societies where hundreds of individuals function together as a coordinated unit. The colony's survival depends on workers that gather food, defend territory, and maintain the nest. This social structure transforms each individual ant into a component of something much larger. A single ant may deliver a painful sting, but the real force lies in the collective response triggered when the colony senses disturbance. That response begins with chemistry rather than violence. Ants navigate the world through scent trails, complex chemical signals laid down along surfaces as they travel. These pheromones form invisible highways that guide workers between food sources and the nest. When a threat appears, however, the chemical language changes. Guard ants release alarm pheromones that spread quickly through the colony's pathways, alerting nearby workers that the perimeter has been breached. The message travels faster than any visual signal. Within seconds, ants that were calmly patrolling roots and branches switch into a defensive posture, raising their bodies higher and turning toward the source of vibration or scent that triggered the alarm. From a distance, the transition can appear subtle. Ants begin moving faster. Individuals converge along the same stretch of bark or root. What was once a scattered patrol becomes a concentrated presence. But the biological meaning of that shift is enormous. The environment itself has become a defensive system. Any hand placed against the trunk, any foot stepping too close to the nest entrance, now enters a zone monitored by dozens or even hundreds of insects prepared to defend their territory. The transformation happens not through planning or leadership, but through decentralized cooperation, an emergent property of social insect societies where simple chemical cues produce coordinated behavior. For animals moving through the rainforest, this defensive strategy is remarkably effective. Large predators such as mammals or reptiles rarely target bullet ant colonies directly because the energetic cost of enduring repeated stings outweighs any potential reward. Even birds that specialize in eating insects approach such colonies cautiously. Some species have developed techniques to snatch individual ants quickly without triggering the full defensive swarm, while others avoid the ants altogether, focusing instead on easier prey scattered across the forest floor. These interactions reveal an important ecological principle. Pain itself can function as a powerful deterrent within a food web. The bullet ant does not need to kill predators to protect its colony. It only needs to convince them that the experience is not worth repeating. For humans moving through the forest, however, that lesson often arrives suddenly. The rainforest encourages physical contact. Navigating dense vegetation means steadying yourself against trunks, pushing branches aside, or stepping over roots that twist across the ground like living obstacles. Each of those ordinary movements carries the possibility of crossing into the territory of a colony. Unlike snakes or large mammals, Bullet ants do not announce their presence through sound or dramatic movement. They are simply there, occupying surfaces that appear as safe and solid as any other part of the forest. When contact occurs, the sequence unfolds with remarkable speed. The first sting is often delivered by an ant that was already patrolling the disturbed surface. Within moments, alarm pheromones draw additional workers toward the same location. The initial pain is immediate and overwhelming, a sharp surge that radiates outward from the sting site and sends intense signals through the nervous system. Muscles may tighten involuntarily. The heart rate can spike as the body interprets the sensation as a severe threat. And as the person instinctively pulls away, more ants may already be climbing onto skin or clothing, searching for the source of disturbance. This is where the true power of social insects becomes evident. One sting is enough to leave a lasting impression, but multiple stings delivered within a few seconds can transform a moment of contact into a cascade of pain signals that overwhelm concentration and coordination. The rainforest itself does not need to chase or trap its visitors. Panic can do that work. An individual who reacts suddenly may stumble, brush against another surface, or place a hand against another trunk in an attempt to regain balance. Each movement risks spreading the disturbance across a larger area of the colony's defensive perimeter. The biological design behind this strategy reflects the evolutionary pressures faced by social insects. Colonies represent dense concentrations of resources, food stores, developing larvae, and reproductive individuals that must be protected at all costs. A solitary animal might flee when threatened, but an ant colony cannot relocate instantly. Its survival depends on turning the surrounding environment into a protective buffer zone. Painful stings create that buffer effectively, ensuring that predators or intruders quickly learn to avoid the nest's location. Interestingly, bullet ants are not aggressive hunters in the sense often imagined by popular stories. Workers spend much of their time foraging for nectar, plant sap, and small arthropods scattered through the understory. They move methodically along tree trunks and branches, navigating through the same chemical pathways day after day. Their strength lies not in speed, but in persistence and coordination. Each ant contributes a small part to the colony's collective activity, whether gathering food, maintaining tunnels, or guarding entrances. The venomous sting becomes necessary only when that system detects interference. Even the cultural reputation of the bullet ant reflects the extraordinary sensory impact of its venom. Indigenous communities in parts of the Amazon are familiar with the species and have incorporated its sting into traditional rites of passage. In one well-known ritual practiced by the Satare Mawe people, young initiates place their hands into woven gloves filled with bullet ants whose stingers have been temporarily immobilized and then reactivated. The experience is intensely painful and symbolic, intended to demonstrate endurance and transition into adulthood. While such rituals are often sensationalized by outsiders, they reveal an important cultural reality. Local knowledge systems understand the power of this insect and treat it with respect rather than curiosity. As the camera continues its slow movement along the trunk, the ants maintain their patrol. Their bodies remain calm and purposeful, antennae constantly tapping the bark and the bodies of neighboring workers as chemical information passes between them. Nothing about their appearance suggests chaos or aggression. Yet the quiet coordination of the colony represents one of the most effective defensive strategies in the rainforest. The ants do not need to pursue threats across the forest. They only need to make their immediate territory unforgettable. That principle echoes throughout the Amazon ecosystem. In an environment crowded with life, survival often depends on creating boundaries that other organisms learn to recognize and respect. For bullet ants, those boundaries are enforced not through size or speed, but through sensation. A burst of pain so intense that even the largest animals remember where it happened. The forest does not need to repeat the lesson often. One encounter is usually enough. And so the ants continue their patrol, tracing invisible lines along bark and roots that define the edges of their world. To the casual observer, the tree appears unchanged, another quiet pillar supporting the green architecture of the rainforest. But hidden within that stillness is a living network of chemical communication and defensive readiness. The lesson of the bullet ant is not simply that pain exists in the Amazon. It is that entire landscapes can become untouchable through cooperation, chemistry, and a single sting capable of turning a brief mistake into a memory that lasts far longer than the encounter itself. The Amazon rainforest does not end where the trees stop. Beneath the canopy, rivers and flooded forests spread through the basin like slow-moving arteries, carrying sediment, nutrients, and life through landscapes that change with every season. From above, these waterways often appear calm, their dark surfaces reflecting tangled branches and strips of sky. But the calm is deceptive. The river is not empty space between the forest walls. It is an extension of the ecosystem itself. A shifting terrain where animals have evolved to disappear completely into mud, sand, and shadow. In this environment, danger rarely announces itself. It waits quietly beneath the waterline, perfectly still, until an accidental step transforms the riverbed into something violent. The camera sinks slowly through the surface of an Amazon tributary, where the world immediately changes color. Sunlight fades into green-brown haze as suspended silt scatters the light into a soft glow that barely reaches the bottom. Visibility shrinks to a few meters at best, and the riverbed resolves into a mosaic of fine sediment, scattered leaves, and fallen branches that drift down from the forest above. At first glance, nothing appears to move. Then the outline emerges, not through motion, but through the faint suggestion of shape within the mud. What looks like a slightly raised patch of riverbed reveals the subtle symmetry of an animal designed to vanish. A freshwater stingray lies buried just beneath the sediment, its flat body covered by a thin layer of sand that leaves only the eyes and spiracles exposed. To an approaching foot or hand, the animal would be nearly invisible. Freshwater stingrays of the Amazon basin belong to the family Potamotrygonidae, a lineage of rays that evolved from marine ancestors but adapted completely to life in rivers and floodplains. Over millions of years, these rays have specialized for environments where water is often cloudy and the river floor constantly shifts beneath seasonal floods. Their bodies are built for concealment. The wide disc formed by their pectoral fins allows them to press against the bottom while undulating gently through water when they move. Their coloration mirrors the sediment around them, mottled browns, grays, and subtle patterns that mimic leaves or rippled sand. But the most important adaptation lies in their behavior. Rather than swimming continuously through open water, stingrays often bury themselves partially in the substrate, leaving only small openings for breathing and vision. From the ray's perspective, the strategy serves multiple purposes. Camouflage protects it from predators such as large fish or river dolphins that patrol deeper channels. Concealment also aids hunting. Freshwater stingrays feed on crustaceans, mollusks, and small fish hidden within the riverbed. By lying motionless, the ray allows prey to approach within striking distance before suddenly lifting its body and pinning the animal against the sediment. The hunting event may last only seconds, but the patience required to reach that moment can stretch across long periods of stillness. The riverbed becomes both shelter and ambush point, and the ray blends into it so completely that even experienced observers may overlook the animal. This invisibility is precisely what makes encounters with stingrays so startling for humans moving through shallow water. Rivers in the Amazon basin are often used as pathways, fishing grounds, or bathing sites. People step into the water expecting mud, sand, or submerged leaves beneath their feet. What they do not expect is an animal hidden just beneath the surface of that substrate. When a foot presses down near the ray's body, the animal reacts not with aggression, but with defense. In evolutionary terms, the ray has only a fraction of a second to respond before the perceived predator crushes or traps it. Its response is immediate and mechanical. The tail lashes upward, bringing the defensive spine into contact with the intruding object. The spine itself is a remarkable structure, both simple and effective. Located along the tail is a rigid serrated barb composed of modified dermal tissue. Along the surface of this spine are grooves connected to venom-producing cells that coat the barb with toxin. When the tail whips upward, the spine punctures the skin of whatever triggered the defensive reaction. The serrations along the barb help it penetrate and remain lodged momentarily within tissue, allowing venom to enter the wound before the spine pulls free. The movement happens so quickly that victims often describe the sensation as instantaneous, a sudden strike followed immediately by pain. That pain is the product of both physical trauma and chemical defense. The spine creates a deep puncture wound capable of tearing muscle or soft tissue, especially when contact occurs with the foot or lower leg. At the same time, venom introduced through the wound triggers intense inflammation and burning sensations that can spread rapidly through surrounding tissue. The toxins are not typically designed to kill large animals, but they are extremely effective at creating an experience so painful that predators quickly learn to avoid stingrays entirely. For humans, the sensation is often described as searing or electric, radiating outward from the wound as the body reacts to the venom. The environment amplifies the chaos of that moment. Injuries occurring in water immediately disrupt balance and coordination. A person struck while wading may instinctively jerk their foot upward or stumble backward, sending waves of sediment into the water and reducing visibility even further. The river that moments ago appeared calm suddenly becomes disorienting. Pain signals compete with the need to remain upright and avoid deeper channels or submerged obstacles. In many cases, the injury itself is not life-threatening, but the surrounding conditions transform the event into a dangerous situation where panic can create additional risks. Yet, from the perspective of the stingray, the entire encounter lasts only seconds. The ray does not pursue its attacker or continue striking once the threat has moved away. Instead, it typically glides forward a short distance, burying itself again beneath the sediment in another patch of riverbed. Its goal is not conflict, but survival. The defensive spine exists because the ray cannot outrun large predators in shallow water and cannot rely solely on camouflage when physical contact occurs. The tail strike is simply the fastest method available to create space between the ray and whatever disturbed it. Predators within the Amazon ecosystem understand that message well. Large fish, caimans and river dolphins occasionally prey on stingrays, but these interactions require careful handling of the tail spine. Some predators have learned to attack from specific angles that avoid the barb, while others focus on younger rays whose spines are smaller and less formidable. These adaptations demonstrate how even powerful defenses can be overcome through evolutionary counter-strategies. Nevertheless, the presence of the spine significantly reduces the number of predators willing to risk the attempt. For the stingray itself, life continues quietly along the river floor. Rays navigate using sensory systems finely tuned to detect faint electrical signals produced by other animals. Specialized receptors known as ampullae of Lorenzini allow them to perceive the tiny electrical fields generated by muscle contractions in prey hidden beneath the sediment. This ability transforms the murky river bottom into a landscape rich with invisible information. A buried crab, a small fish resting under leaves, or the faint movement of invertebrates within the sand, all produce signals that guide the ray's feeding behavior. Seasonal flooding adds another layer of complexity to this underwater world. During the wet season, rivers spill into surrounding forests, creating vast flooded landscapes known as vasia. In these environments, stingrays move among submerged tree trunks and drifting leaf litter, exploring habitats that temporarily resemble underwater forests. Food becomes abundant as insects, crustaceans, and small fish occupy the flooded terrain. The rays follow these opportunities, demonstrating how flexible their behavior can be in response to changing water levels. Despite their ecological importance, stingrays remain largely hidden participants in the Amazon ecosystem. Their presence becomes noticeable only when the delicate balance between camouflage and contact breaks down. The sting itself is not an act of aggression, but a consequence of overlapping territories. A human foot entering the space where a ray has chosen to rest. As the camera pulls back from the riverbed, the stingray gradually disappears again beneath drifting sediment. Its outline dissolves into the patterns of mud and leaves until the animal becomes indistinguishable from the environment around it. The river resumes its quiet flow, carrying suspended particles past roots and branches that reach down from the forest above. Nothing about the surface reveals what lies beneath. And that is precisely the lesson carried by the stingray chapter. In the Amazon, pain often begins with invisibility. The forest hides venom in leaves and bark, but the river does the same beneath its shifting floor. You do not need to provoke the animal or search for it intentionally. All it takes is a single step placed where the eye cannot see clearly through the water. The rainforest surrounds the river, and the river answers in kind. Between the two environments, danger is not confined to a single layer of the ecosystem. It exists across roots, branches, and riverbeds alike, woven through every part of the landscape. In the Amazon, the ground can sting, the trees can burn, and the water itself can deliver a lesson that begins with one unseen animal resting silently beneath the mud. The rainforest often hides its most consequential lessons in plain sight. Long before an animal moves, strikes, or defends itself, the Amazon usually offers a visual clue, a signal that says the surface of something should not be tested. Yet those signals are easy to overlook, especially when they appear small, elegant, or strangely beautiful. As the camera settles low over the forest floor, the leaf litter appears still and ordinary, a layered carpet of browns and faded greens slowly decomposing into the soil that feeds the forest. But beneath one curled leaf, a thin shape begins to move, not quickly, but with the steady, fluid precision of an animal designed to navigate narrow spaces between roots and fallen bark. The body slides forward in quiet arcs until the pattern becomes visible. rings of black, red, and yellow repeating across smooth scales that reflect the dim light of the understory. A coral snake moves across the forest floor, its presence almost delicate compared to the heavy bodies of vipers that dominate popular imagination. At first glance, the coral snake seems almost decorative. Its slender body rarely exceeds a few centimeters in diameter, and its movements lack the dramatic coiling or raised posture associated with many other venomous snakes. The head is small and rounded, barely distinct from the body, and the animal glides forward with calm, controlled motion. For observers unfamiliar with its biology, the snake's appearance can create a dangerous illusion of harmlessness. It does not look like an apex predator. It does not perform threatening displays or loud warnings. Instead, it carries its defense quietly in the chemistry of its venom and in the patterns written across its skin. Coral snakes belong to the family Elapidae, a group that also includes cobras, mambas, and sea snakes. Unlike the heavy-bodied vipers common in many parts of the world, elapid snakes possess relatively short, fixed fangs located at the front of the mouth. These fangs deliver venom that acts primarily on the nervous system rather than on blood or tissue. The toxins interfere with communication between nerves and muscles, gradually disrupting the signals required for normal movement and breathing. In ecological terms, this form of venom is extremely efficient for subduing prey such as small reptiles, amphibians, and other snakes that share the forest floor with the coral snake. The venom does not rely on dramatic trauma. Instead, it quietly interrupts the biological circuits that allow an animal to function. Despite the potency of this venom, coral snakes rarely seek confrontation with animals larger than themselves. They are secretive hunters that spend much of their time hidden beneath leaf litter, within rotting logs, or inside narrow burrows that protect them from both predators and environmental extremes. Their slender bodies allow them to navigate spaces inaccessible to larger snakes, giving them access to prey that hide within crevices or underground tunnels. Most encounters between coral snakes and humans occur when someone disturbs these hiding places accidentally, lifting a piece of wood or placing a hand where the snake was resting. The coral snake's most important defensive strategy is not its venom, but its coloration. The alternating rings of bright red, yellow, and black serve as a biological signal recognized across many ecosystems. This pattern functions as a form of aposematic coloration, a warning display that communicates danger to potential predators before an attack even begins. In environments filled with visually complex backgrounds, such bold patterns stand out dramatically. For birds, mammals, and reptiles that hunt by sight, the message is unmistakable. Attacking this animal may carry consequences. Over time, predators learn to associate these color combinations with unpleasant or dangerous experiences. A bird that attempts to capture a coral snake and survives the encounter may remember the vivid pattern for the rest of its life. That memory influences future decisions, guiding the predator away from animals that display similar markings. In this way, the coral snake's coloration becomes part of a larger communication system shared among many species in the rainforest. This warning system is so effective that it has inspired one of the most fascinating evolutionary strategies in nature: mimicry. Several harmless snake species have evolved color patterns remarkably similar to those of coral snakes. These mimics gain protection by resembling a venomous animal without possessing the same level of danger themselves. Predators that cannot easily distinguish between the true coral snake and its imitators often avoid both. The result is a complex visual language where color patterns carry meaning far beyond the individual animal wearing them. For humans, however, this system can create confusion. The rainforest does not include convenient labels explaining which snake is venomous and which is merely an imitator. Field guides and educational phrases exist to help distinguish the patterns, but in the wild, those distinctions can become blurred by lighting, movement, and the natural variability of animal coloration. The safest interpretation is often the simplest. If an animal advertises itself with bold warning colors, it should be left alone. The coral snake's calm behavior reinforces this principle. Unlike many vipers that rely on ambush and visible defensive displays, coral snakes often attempt to avoid confrontation entirely. When threatened, they may hide their heads beneath loops of their bodies or attempt to escape beneath leaf litter. Some species perform subtle defensive movements, such as lifting the tail or twisting the body to confuse predators about which end contains the head. These behaviors reflect an evolutionary preference for avoidance rather than aggression. Yet the consequences of mishandling such a snake can be serious. Because the coral snake's fangs are relatively small, delivering venom effectively may require the snake to maintain contact with its target for a moment, rather than striking and releasing instantly, like many vipers. When this contact occurs, venom enters the tissue and begins interacting with the nervous system. The onset of symptoms may not always be immediate, which can create a dangerous sense of false security. Neurotoxic venoms often act gradually, interfering with muscle control and eventually affecting breathing if sufficient quantities enter the body. Within the Amazon ecosystem, however, coral snakes rarely interact with humans at all. Their diet consists primarily of other small reptiles and amphibians, and their movements remain largely hidden beneath debris on the forest floor. Predators such as birds of prey or larger snakes occasionally attempt to hunt them, but many animals avoid the distinctive color pattern entirely. The coral snake does not need to advertise aggression to survive. Its appearance speaks clearly enough. The presence of mimic species further complicates the visual landscape of the rainforest. Harmless snakes with similar ring patterns glide through the same leaf litter, benefiting from the reputation established by the true coral snake. For predators, the cost of testing the difference can be too high. The strategy works precisely because hesitation favors survival. In evolutionary terms, the coral snake's warning colors create a ripple effect that shapes the behavior of many animals that never encounter the venomous species directly. Returning to the snake moving through the leaf litter, its body continues sliding forward with smooth, deliberate motion. The rings of color shift as the animal passes between shadows cast by fallen branches. Nothing about its movement appears hurried or dramatic. It simply follows the contours of the forest floor, searching for prey hidden among the leaves. The calmness of the scene contrasts sharply with the biological potential contained within the snake's venom. This contrast forms the final lesson of the rainforest's surface defenses. Throughout the ecosystem, animals communicate their capabilities through texture, color, and subtle behavior long before any physical contact occurs. Venomous caterpillars advertise their danger through hairs that punish careless touch. Bullet ants defend their territory with stings that transform a tree trunk into a zone of pain. Poison dart frogs turn their skin into a chemical shield displayed in brilliant color. Stingrays hide beneath river sediment where a single step can trigger a defensive strike. Tarantulas combine intimidation and defensive hairs to discourage close encounters. And here, moving quietly through the leaves, the coral snake carries its warning openly in the rings of color wrapped around its body. Taken together, these animals reveal a pattern that runs through the Amazon ecosystem like an invisible thread. Danger is often embedded not in dramatic attacks or relentless chases, but in the surfaces of living organisms themselves. The rainforest does not need to pursue intruders. It simply exists, layered with biological defenses that activate when something touches the wrong place. The coral snake disappears beneath a tangle of leaves, its colors fading into the shadowed ground until only the faintest movement remains. The forest floor returns to stillness, yet the message lingers. In the Amazon, survival often depends on reading the signals written across the skin, scales, or hairs of the animals that live there. The rainforest rarely hides its warnings completely. They are painted in bright colors, raised in defensive hairs, or buried just beneath the mud of a riverbank. Ignoring those signals is where mistakes begin. And in this ecosystem, the cost of ignoring them is often felt not through the jaws of a predator, but through something far subtler and far more immediate, the surface itself.